Typically I recommend sitting on a bit of a pillow or a blanket, but we're going to go minimalist today. So taking a comfortable seat, notice the weight in your right sitting bones and in your left sitting bone. Invite your inhale to elongate your spine. Invite your exhale to allow for a bit of softening. Back of the neck lengthens, chin tucks down. We'll bring one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly. On any given day, under normal circumstances in life, stress levels might rise and they might fall. We can accept from the outside that there will be days where your heart beats a little faster, where your belly flutters a little bit. There will be days where everything might seem smooth, where it's just a rhythmic, wave-like smoothness, more pond than ocean, more lake than Pacific. And so using your hands as a little bit of biofeedback, just notice without any sense of judgment where you are today with your breath, your heartbeat, with your energy. Invite every ounce of feeling that you have in. Welcome it, recognize it, give it a name. And then inhaling fully. If there's anything that you know is constricting you, if you know anything is holding you back, see if you can sort of manually exhale purposefully and feel that wash out of you. Feel free to do that a couple of times. We'll call it a cleansing breath. Settling your hands on your knees or in your lap. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. And we're going to invite the shoulder rolls to get bigger and bigger so that at the front there's almost a caving of your chest. At the top there's a strong rising up, almost touching the ears, and at the back there's a pinching of the shoulder blades, like you could pinch a pencil between the shoulder blades. Now switch directions. So if you're going up, back, and down as I was, squeeze back, rise up, and roll forward. Keep going. And then we're going to try something a little unusual. We're going to try rolling one shoulder, clockwise we'll call it, and the other shoulder counterclockwise. So both come up, one goes back, the other goes forward, both go down, and then they switch. One goes forward, the other goes back. Up, switch, down, switch. This is actually a gentle twist for your upper back. And if you're not feeling very coordinated today, no stress. Don't let this add to any potential stress you might be experiencing. Just play. Just invite this to be a position and a movement of play. And we're going to go in the other direction. Up, forward and back, down. Up, forward and back, down. Just for the fun of it. And last one. Good. Now, coming onto your fingertips, so hands beside you, I want you to walk your hands a little bit back. There's going to be a big inhale and a bit of a back bend in your spine. If for any reason you're not taking back bends today, just lean back, drawing your navel in. Don't necessarily try to lift, but just traction your spine. And if back bends are fine for you, squeeze your shoulder blades back and lift your sternum, your breastbone, towards the sky. We'll all come to a neutral spine and switch the cross of your legs if you're sitting cross-legged. If you're sitting in another position, that's totally fine too. Walk your left hand out, and right hand can be on your shoulder, back of the ear, back of the head, or even by your ear. And we're gonna settle down, letting that left elbow sink. Take a couple of breaths here, and I really like within the side bend to move a bit, rounding the spine, and then reaching the arm by the ear, maybe even looking up, almost like a back bend. So I'm again twisting a bit around my upper back. The arm that's up above is strongly reaching. The shoulder blade is freely moving to wherever it lands, pretty close to your neck most likely. And then you can add this little bonus of taking chin mudra, first finger and thumb, pads of those two coming together, representing kind of what I was saying earlier, like all those parts of ourselves that we want to banish. The part that feels stressed, the part that feels angry, the part that just, feels overwhelmed. Invite it in, welcome it, and then really recognize that's just part of this experience of being human, being alive. We inhale, we rise. You can walk your other hand to the other side. Free arm, shoulder, back of the ear, back of the head, or even arm by the ear. And big breath into the side body now. So this is an expansive quality in your ribs. And if you don't quite feel it, those little twisties that I did earlier where you lean forward and you lean back are so powerful for just snuggling the breath into new nooks and crannies. The arm that's up, really let it reach. You might feel this in your lats, meaning the muscle that attaches from the arm bone down into your low back. So you might really feel it, like a big stretch on the side of the armpit. And of course, feel free to bring your first finger and your thumb together for chin mudra, representing all of the coming together of all aspects. Inhale, rise up, and place both your hands on your shoulders. So we rolled the shoulders a bit earlier, and you can roll them in the other direction now if you'd like. And we're just gonna spin. We're gonna turn, and what I love about this particular turn is that it's like a truth serum. So you're gonna spin to the right as far as you can, and then just notice where you land. I'm not using my arms to leverage me into a deeper twist, so this is really just all I can go. I can take that back shoulder blade, pull it back a little bit more, and turn my gaze over that shoulder. Soft expression on the face. And then come back through center. Feel free to switch the cross of your legs again to keep things spicy. And then turn in the other direction. Noticing your natural limitation, your muscular limitation. So not using your arms as leverage. And then come back through to center. Inhale. We're going over to the other side again. And this time, hand that's behind you, I don't have a whole lot of room. It's going to lean back a little. So it's a tiny, tiny bit of a back bend, but it's a side bend and it's a rotation. It's a combination of movements. Hand that's forward can come by your ear, back of the head, or stretch it out. I'm pretending that somebody's pulling on my wrist. And then rise up, and then over to the other side, and then back hand roots to the ground, spine stays long, heart stays lifted, front hand can come to the back of the ear, back of the head, reach, and then that back shoulder blade is just dipping down to the ground. Inhale up, and then settle your feet out in front of you. And lower yourself down on the ground. Feel free to use your arms. Feel free to move through a nice little roll down, like I just demonstrated. Keeping your jaw relaxed. Start to wiggle your feet to the edges of your yoga mat. Now, if you're in practice today to get a little more into your shoulders, then I'm going to recommend hands to the back of your head and elbows wide. So, although we're going to be doing a twist that affects our hips and our low and our mid-back, this will add a little functional stretch to the front of the shoulders, to the pecs. You're hearing most likely a little creaking of my floor. That's always happening here. And then as you go to one side or the other, your top knee, I want you to just stretch it out like you're yawning. You're going to just reach, 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 reach. Elbow reaches in the opposite direction. Inhale through center. And then take your knees to the other direction and reach, 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 reach through that top knee and opposite elbow. As always, in this practice of yoga, one of the things that's really distinguishing it is noticing the difference side to side. Now, I don't expect anybody on the planet to be perfectly symmetrical. It's totally normal to be asymmetrical. We write with one hand, most of us. We eat with one hand. So a lot of even our musculoskeletal, not to mention our organ system, are asymmetrical. But what you're going to notice is that one side might be a little different from the other. And as you even that out, and you take stock of that in your mind, or even write it down on a note, bring your feet more to a neutral position, shoulder distance-ish apart. And just start to flatten your back and find neutral. Flatten your back and find neutral. For me, this action is very much about building just deep, maybe not that deep, but some stability in the core before we start the practice. And so you can keep up with this, or you can keep your low back rooted, like glued down into the floor, and just lift one leg to the sky. So my leg that's on the floor, it's light, it's fluffy, it's like landed on a gentle pillow or gentle pile of feathers. And the leg that's up in the sky, I'm going to stay connected to the core almost like it's a marionette. So nothing has changed here. Everything is rooting down. And I lower and I lift. And if that's a good challenge for you today, you're lowering not quite to the floor, and you're just imagining the powerhouse of this movement happening from your belly button. Or you can start to draw some, like the capital letter D, yeah? Now if you're on your left leg, that's going to look backwards. It's going to look like a mirror image. If you're on your right leg, it should look relatively normal. And so as my leg goes out to the side to draw this letter D, what I notice is that my whole body wants to turn. So now I have to add a lateral stability to my core. I can't let my leg just pull my whole torso over. Switch the directions of this letter and drop into, as you drop into the rhythm of whatever it is you're doing, whether it's the rocks or the ups and downs or the letter, whatever makes sense for your body right now. I want you to drop into your breath. Can you make the peak of the exhale at the peak of the challenge point? If that feels too slow for you and you want to go faster, can you get the breath rhythmic and steady even as the leg is moving faster than your breath? Draw this knee into your chest. Rock a little side to side. And then you're going to sweep your hand to the back of the leg, so both hands to the back of the leg that's lifted. And I want you to straighten your knee and point your toes. Bend the knee and bend the foot. Straighten the knee and point your toes. Now your leg may not look like mine. That's totally normal. This is one of the most gentle neural glides that you can do So we're tensioning the nerve in one location, in this case from the leg straight across the bum. This is the sciatic nerve and all of its little trails, all of its little branches. And then you're tensioning the nerve at the ankle. So sort of pulling and creating that tension across the back of the ankle, but slacking at the knee. And just going back and forth. This is often one of the big reasons why we feel particularly tight on one side. And you might notice that you don't feel a whole lot while you do this. That's totally fine, totally normal. This is, as a nerve glide, you don't want to irritate the nerve as you do it. You want everything to be just like a spaghetti noodle, all covered in olive oil, moving in the bowl. And you can take your leg a little bit across your body if that feels good. And a little out to the side, easy movement. Notice if there's any interesting sensation that comes up. It should be very subtle again. And then we've got another side. So draw this knee into your chest, lower down. Let's take a little bridge, flattening your back, raising up. And then lower, 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 lower. Finding that stability, walk your feet more like hip to shoulder distance apart. And then practice either the flattening of the back with your exhale, the leg lifting, the maintenance of the lowered and flattened back with the leg up and down. Or you can take the capital letter D. So assuming you have enough space, move through. As you can see, I'm hitting the curtain quite quickly. And keep that stable, keep that strong. Again, notice any differences one side to the next. This is the real thing that I think is one of the most valuable components of the practice of yoga asana. Is that we go at a pace most of the time that is slow enough, that is mindful enough, that is intentionally mindful enough, that we can notice any changes right to left. Now go ahead and switch sides. Keep going. So if you've switched the direction, you're going down, out and up, or up, out and down, whichever one makes sense for you right now to balance it all out. Finally, draw this knee into your chest. Draw both knees into your chest. And really here, you're going to practice flattening your back, curling your tailbone up a little bit, even if you push your knees away from you as you do that. Push your thighs away. Right foot settles down. At least that was the foot that I did the first time. And so now we're going to do the nerve glide on the left or the opposite side of whatever you just did. So it's bend, bend, straighten, straighten. Bend, bend, straighten, straighten. Foot flexes, knee bends, toes point, knee straightens. And see if you can just enjoy yourself in this process. Again, no big stress, no big deal as far as the sensation that you're going to feel. It should be really soft and mild. And we've got 3 more. We did a lot on the other side, so if you want to hang out and do some more on this side, that's totally fine. One last thing, we can also take the foot a little bit across the body and just notice if that changes sensation at all. One of the sensations you may feel with these neural tensioners, so in the part that's kind of stretching, so to speak, right now, you might feel a little zing or zap or electric, and that's totally fine. But you don't want it to be strong. You want to stay away from that strong range. Both knees to your chest. Apanasana. Rock side to side. Paying attention to how the bones of your back body land in the floor. Does it feel even right and left? Does one side feel heavier than the other? And then press into your thighs, back of your thighs with both hands. And you're going to curl yourself up if this is okay for your neck. And feel a little bit of a stretch perhaps between your shoulder blades. Breath moves right into that zone. And then exhale down. Or inhale down, whatever works for you. Exhale and press your thighs into your hands. Reach it forward. So we're getting this rounded quality, almost like a cat-like shape in the upper back concentrated there. And inhale down. For those of you who've done so many back bends over the years that your spine is a little bit too upright, you can actually help to restore some of your natural thoracic curve by focusing on breath, focusing on back body, allowing your upper back to round a little bit. It's not a bad thing. And then this is our last one of these. Couple of breaths here. For those of you who are pretty limber, you might even be able to capture your opposite thigh, or sorry, that's not opposite thigh, opposite wrist, and press your thighs in that way. It's not available to everybody, so that's okay, but whatever works for you. You just can push a little harder if you've got the wrist locked. And then lower down. Either roll to one side and come up, or you can catch behind one leg and rock yourself up to a sitting position. So we've attended to our shoulders and our spine. Set your feet in front of you and just drop your knees a little to the right and to the left. So we're getting through some of the range of internal rotation, external rotation, abduction in the legs, in the hips. And then let both of your knees drop over to your right side. And we're gonna spin towards the bent knee, towards that same side. Lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades back, and then exhale, lower down. So you might land on your forearms, you might walk your hands out and come into a pancake shape. Again, breath into the back body or mid-back. There is no competition here to feel a big stretch. We're just even wiggling, not necessarily even staying stationary. And then walk your hands back up, rise up, and place your palms together over your heart. Now you can do this a couple of different ways. If your wrists are irritated, you can also do a fist bump. You could grab a block, or you could even grab a medicine ball. And what we're working on is core and shoulder blades and breath all united. So from this funky kind of flower petal position, I'm going to take my fist bump and I'm going to lean towards the side where my foot's sticking out, and then I'm going to lean towards the side of the bent knee. And I'm just going back and forth. And you're even getting a bit of hips here. So as your hip comes down, when you lean into that side, you'll notice one sensation, and as your hip comes up, you'll notice another. If this bothers your knees at all, the basic thing that you can do is just stack some towels or blankets underneath your bum so that you're up a bit higher. You want to try and give yourself a good 6 inches or more, and then keep going. And then release your upper body. Sweep your legs to the other side, ideally without using your arms. So this is one of the big tests of floor mobility. Can you move easily on the floor? And that's a really, really important goal for those of us who practice yoga, because we do spend so much time getting on and off the floor. So move number 1 from this flower petal position, spin towards the bent knee leg. In this case, we're spinning towards the left, heart lifts. And then exhale and fold and find whatever position feels good for you. There's a bit of wiggle. There's a lot of breath into kind of unique places in my back, in my hip. One more inhale. One more exhale. Walk your hands up, rise. Find your center, meaning press or fist bump or block or medicine ball, and start to spin. Again, if it's better for your knees, cushion yourself as much as you need to rise up here. Back and forth, and back and forth. I want to explain, I think the hip part of this is obvious, I think the spinal twist part is obvious. The core may not be quite so obvious, but I'm going to put my hands one on the low ribs on one side of my body and the front of the pelvis on the other. And you can see the line of my obliques has to contract in order to get this action going. And so there are muscles on my front body that are assisting to stabilize, and there are also muscles on the back body that are assisting to stabilize this. The hips are actually relatively passive in this whole thing, unless you're pushing off by pushing your knee into the ground, which might also be the case. And so as you wrap up with this movement, crisscross your knees, please come onto all fours. And just shift right and left, move, wiggle, keep yourself decent. Turn your fingers outward if that feels better on your wrist. Walk your hands forward if that feels better on your wrist. Just find whatever modifications and adjustments your body's going for. And then belly down, heart forward. Exhale, beam and round to the sky. Inhale, belly down, heart forward. And exhale and round. One more time. Inhale, belly down, heart forward. Exhale, round. Keep the rounded shape. Please lower down onto your forearms. And you're going to shift your weight into one arm and then walk the other one forward onto your fingertips. You want to pretend that you're laying down on a big clock. And you can start at 12 or you can start at 1. Turn your thumb up towards the ceiling. Lift and lower. The arm that's still on the ground is doing really powerful stabilizing work here. Your hips are working. Your scapular stabilizers, serratus anterior, are working. And then, of course, the arm that's lifted is working. So this is really getting to lower traps and middle traps more as we go out to the side. 2 o'clock if you're not already there. Stay connected to breath and make sure you don't sag. So this would be the sagged position. Stay almost energetically rounded, even if it doesn't look very rounded. Aim and do your best to keep the thumb up towards the ceiling. And then let's travel to 2:30 and 3 o'clock. For 3 o'clock in particular, I would suggest not going a whole lot higher than shoulder height. Sometimes when we go higher, we end up sinking the shoulder down, and the thumb turns down and we internally rotate. So try to keep the thumb up. Just magnetize the thumbnail towards the sky. And then last one, rest. Find your way to child's pose, or if you are feeling really vibrant and energized today, take a vinyasa. From child's pose or from down dog, lower to your knees. Please rise up vertebra by vertebra until you come into a seated position. We're going to be in Virasana, or hero's pose, for just a moment. Roll the shoulders again, up, back, and down. And then back, up, forward, and down. Back, up, forward, and down. And then one more time, see if you can get one of the shoulders to roll forward as the other rolls back. And then just switch the direction. Even if this is really freaking hard and uncoordinated, it's a fun little mind-body exercise. We've got another side. So from table pose, walking it right back out to table, move through your version of cat and cow. A couple of tendencies that I see in cat and cow. I see a lot of times when we round, we lean back, because the rounding puts a little more weight through the arms. So see if you can keep that weight through the arms. Keep your arms vertical, even as you round. And then this time as we round, we're going to keep and maintain that rounding lower to your forearms. Drive the forearms down into the ground. Walk your other arm out in front of you, thumb up position, starting off on your fingertips, thumb up. And I recommend, if you can start at 12 o'clock, that's fine. If 1 o'clock works better for you, that's perfectly fine too. And just lift and lower. Try not to sag. Again, notice any differences. Is there a difference between your dominant side, your non-dominant side? And then wiggle the hand a little bit out. So we started off, if I said 1 o'clock, I probably meant 11 o'clock. So depending on which arm you're doing, you might be on 1 o'clock, you might be on 11 o'clock, you might be on 2 o'clock, you might be on 10 o'clock. And don't forget the half hours in between. Lower traps, middle traps, those are the muscles that really help to stabilize our mid-back. And walk it out a little bit more. Breath is easy. Facial expression is soft. And finally, walk it all the way to the side. Thumb up and down. Magnetizing the thumb towards the ceiling. You can also do this exercise on all fours in hands and knees for table pose. But locked out like that is a bit of a truth serum for those final end stages. So come into table and then just round your back and start to clean the edges of the peanut butter jar or the Nutella jar. Shifting one side clockwise and counterclockwise. And then finally, walk yourself out, make your way to downward facing dog if this is your first down dog of the day. Really give yourself time. So we did a lot of warm up for the hips and up. Shake out your head, let the head be heavy, let the neck get a little natural traction. And now we're gonna get into the lower body a bit more. Walk your hands to the back of your yoga mat. Allow your knees to bend here. This is kind of typically, not just typically, but always how I teach this shape, Uttanasana, because I find that it can really pull on the hamstrings in an ineffective way. So not in a positive way. And even here, sway right and left. And this is going to be much more useful as far as function and mobility goes than just a static stretch that pulls you forward. Plus, it's a lot nicer to those nerves if you have any of the neural tension that I mentioned earlier. Shake out your head, and then wiggle your feet more like hip distance or shoulder distance apart. If they were wider, inhale, rise halfway up. And then you might even add your hands to your abdomen and just work the muscles of your hip extensors, your low back, even lifting your chest to feel your back bend kick in a bit so that your low back muscles are on. And then exhale and lower down. Shake it out. Inhale, halfway up. So Ardha Uttanasana, I've got a bit of a back bend on purpose here. And this time, robot arms. Bring the arms out to the sides, forward, back, and down. So that adds a bit of challenge, as you can feel. Keep the knees bent here, heart pulling forward or neutral spine, depending on your body's needs. 90-degree robot arms, reach, back, and down. And then let's just do one at a time. So right arm reaches, left arm reaches, right arm reaches, left arm reaches. And then opposite directions, opposite directions. And both arms forward, exhale, fold. Walk it out, downward facing dog. On your inhale, shift forward, rounding your spine a little as you do so, so you land in plank in the most optimal way. Feel free to have your knees down in plank whenever you're here. Draw from the belly, rise up and back, downward facing dog. Pads of the fingers, claw into the floor, rise to your tiptoes. Pull your belly in, look at your navel, and shift it forward. Squeeze your bum. That's how you know you're in plank. Round, up, and back. And then last one of these, rise to tiptoes, look at navel, round, 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 round. Forward, back of the neck long. Downward facing dog. I personally, we're gonna walk to the front of the mat. I love having a block under each hand here, because it just allows a bit of extra freedom in the last couple inches of walking to the front of the mat. So if you have that, feel free to use it. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms to the side. Rise up. Exhale, palms together over the heart. Inhale, out and up. Exhale, melt it down. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, and let's step the right leg to the back. So immediately, I'm on my fingertips. Immediately, I'm squeezing my thighs to an imaginary small little wall here. Immediately, I'm pulling back at the left hip, but not too crazy. And then I'm trying to lift. My tendency is to lift with my chest, so I'm back bending here. But I'm trying to lift from the abdomen so that my whole pelvis and spine move as a unit. Once you come up, palms over the heart. Feel free to hold on to something if you need to. I want you to lower your back knee, maybe to tap the ground, maybe to tap a pillow, and rise up. Lower, tap, and rise. We're gonna come out of this practice stronger, right? Stronger in our legs, more grounded. And truly, even if that means bending your knee just the tiniest little bit and straightening it, if that's a good challenge for you today, enjoy. And last one, hands to your front knee, draw your belly in, think about rounding your spine, sink your back heel to the floor, and then float it up. And again, feel free to hold on to something. Back heel sinks and floats. Appreciate the toe spread across your front toes. That's where your gaze is probably right now. And appreciate in your feeling sense, in your somatic sense, the arch of your back foot staying lifted and robust. So, as your back heel sinks down, get a sense of like legs kind of moving opposite direction from one another. Rise up, and we're gonna float the arms a bit. Actually, I'm gonna take my hands to the hips. And this is gonna give you a little bit of an ability to shift your rib cage in each direction. If you have your arms up, it might look like seaweed arms, right? But if you have your hands on the pelvis, you can almost isolate a little bit more. Now, good, healthy mobility in your rib cage is essential for your shoulders and your shoulder health. Lean forward, park your elbow on your knee, drive the elbow down so that your ribs are floating up, and you can actually make this a core exercise right here. Float the ribs, sweep that top arm to the top ribs, and then by your ear, some of the echoes of our early side bending happening right here. Please take all hands down to the ground. Step your front foot to the back. Move through the vinyasa should you choose. So find your plank, move through. Back bend of your choice. Connecting to your core, so ribs to the front pelvis. Finding our way right back through table or plank before down dog. I'm going to take you through the vinyasa a little more step by step. For those of you feeling really fiery, feel free to hang out in plank for added fire, or feel free to move through the vinyasa in your way. But please perk your ears up to kind of absorb some of these cues that I think are really, really powerful. So cue number one, I've already mentioned, squeezing your bum in plank prevents you from doing this by accident. From plank, plank is basically chaturanga except for the arms. I recommend actually lowering down to your knees, refinding that plank, knees to crown of head, and then bending your elbows just as much as is appropriate for you. Could be a little bit, could be a lot. Building your stability there, and then lowering down all the way to the belly and waking up the muscles of the back body. So this version of locust pose, Shalanbasana, is a powerful way just to turn all those muscles on. Root your hands, then come into whatever back bend you want, and keep the muscles turned on in the back body. Then switch, connect the muscles in the front body. And so instead of just kind of flinging your butt back, you want to connect, find neutral, then find down dog. That's also way, way, way safer for the shoulders. Settle into child's pose as needed, or take 2 to 3 more breaths in down dog. If you're in down dog, appreciate the arches of your feet, the spread of your toes, the power in your arms. And last one, shift. Vinyasa of your choice. Butt stays squeezed as you lower. Back body activates as you lift. Core front body connects, activates before you even make it to downward facing. We've got another side, so you can either join me in walking forward, or you can step your right foot forward between the hands. Inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, back body engaged, butt and hamstrings engaged. Exhale, fold. Other leg back, in this case it's the left leg. We're going to keep that back heel off the floor. Immediately fingertips, squeeze inner thighs. Lift heart from the abdomen. Rise up, spine as a unit, spine and pelvis. Hold on as needed. Use a chair as needed. Bend and straighten. Front knee, more or less staying bent the whole time. Back knee taps down, maybe even to the floor. Just build your lower extremity strength, your functional strength here. As the leg straightens next, lean forward and sink your back heel down, activating the arch. Lift it up, sink it down. Gaze towards your front toes, and you can feel that spread of your front toes. Maybe even use a sticky mat to spread them a little bit more. Natural shape of our feet is like a triangle with the narrowest part at the heel. And as the heel drops down and back, like a unit, float your spine, hands to the hips, or seaweed arms, and just shift your ribs, front and back. This is a move that I definitely know from Shakira videos. It's a little bit of a belly dancing move. But this action, again, in a sneaky way, is activating our core. It's activating the stability muscles that are small around the spine, certainly the muscles around the ribs, and it's allowing our shoulder blades to glide freely on the surface upon which they rest. So our upper backs. So open your arms, find your way to your warrior two, lean into your front arm, elbow to knee, ribs lift, top ribs push towards the sky, and you're going to take that top arm, maybe stretch it by the ear, full breath into the side body, echoing what we did in the beginning of our practice. Lots of bright, spacious air. And then hands down, option to take a vinyasa, option to go straight to down dog, child's, or finding a middle ground in plank. Let me explain that last bit just a moment. Plank pose, squeezing the bum, pressing through the crown of the head. It's a nice way to build some global overall stabilization if you tend towards hypermobility and the vinyasa itself, the chaturanga, that back bend, etc., kind of exacerbate your hypermobility or irritate your joints, just hanging out in plank might be a good option. And then from downward facing dog, please walk your hands back to the back of the mat. Now I've widened my feet towards the edges of the mat just because that feels so good. So do that if you wish. You're gonna park your elbows on your knees and just drop and straighten, bend and straighten your knees a few times. This is a really gorgeous and simple dynamic hamstring stretch that can be safe even for those who have a little bit of tendinopathy or irritation in the hamstrings. Not for everybody, but it could potentially be a safer version. And then you're going to keep that micro bend in the knees, just a little bend. If back bends are appropriate for you, lift your chest, drop your belly. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on our forearms earlier. So one arm, thumb floats, find your way to 12 o'clock. Connect with breath. Find your way to 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And if you want to do this in a more challenging way, the hand that I've parked on my knee, you can park on your abdomen, or you can even park out to the side. So make it nice and challenging. If you're up against the wall like me, come into robot arms as you reach towards either 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And then settle into Uttanasana for just a moment. Shake everything out. Heel toe your feet together. Get your big toes to touch and your heels a little bit apart. And by the way, there's a million ways to do this next pose, Utkatasana chair pose. It's just one of the ways that I've patterned into my body that I tend to like. Squeeze your thighs together. Palms pressed over your heart. And try to fill your back body a little bit here so that you're not in a big back bend in your chair pose. So core engaged, front hip points up, sink down, maybe even pulse. Squeeze your thighs. Aim to keep the pressure even into your pinky toes. Nice neutral spine. And then wiggle your feet apart. Fold forward into that Ardha Uttanasana, that half upward, half forward fold position. And we're going to move with the other arm. So thumb up, arm by the ear. 12 o'clock. After a few repetitions, moving into your 1 o'clock or your 11 o'clock. Notice how this lands in your back. For added challenge, hand goes to the abdomen. Free hand, or out to the side. And after 3 to 5 repetitions at each spot on the clock, each half hour or hour interval, move a little further. And settle your hands when you're ready back to your knees. Wiggle your feet nice and wide away from one another. And then just drop one shoulder down. And then drop the other shoulder down. First shoulder. Second shoulder. And then here, I'm at about 90 degrees at the hips. You can also take the arms out to the side and lower. Tap your pinkies, thumbs up. Bring it a little forward, and a little more forward still. This is one of the components of upward facing hands pose, Urdhva Hastasana. And as you're ready, settle your hands back to the knees. Keep folding forward with that soft bend at the knees, catching opposite elbow. Switch the cross of the elbows, shaking out the head. And shift your weight a little side to side. You can go fast, you can go slow. Begin to stack vertebra by vertebra by vertebra up to stand. And then in standing, roll your shoulders a little bit. And then pick a leg, any leg. If you want to use your hands to help you come onto the floor, I'll talk you through that too. But one of my goals is to be able to get on and off the floor without using my hands for as long as possible in this lifetime. So we're going to spin, lower that knee down, or you can put one hand on your front knee, lower down. Feel free to use a chair or a wall as well. And then from here, you can either hands-free lower, or from here, just drop one hand to the ground and help you to get cozy. So now, the hands behind you, crab shape or pre-crab shape, just drop your knees right and left. You're going to get a different mobility encouragement across the front of the shoulders down. Again, working on ground movement, on floor movement. And coming back to neutral. Stretch out your legs, lower yourself down onto your forearms if this works for you. And just lift your chest towards the sky and sink it down. A little cat and cow here. You could also do this with your knees bent. And then walk your elbows a little further out to the side and a little further. And then slowly lower down. Knees to your chest. Gentle rocks, Apanasana. We'll cross the right thigh over the left, and if it makes sense, grab that second knee, grab the first knee, or even just use a towel to kind of wrap around the legs and pull in a little bit. We'll switch the cross of the legs. Notice any difference side to side, and again, make that mental note in your self-study of this practice. And allow that to inform how you practice at home. Your asymmetries, your unique tendencies that not everybody has. Find your own balance. Unravel. Come back to Apanasana. And then we're going to do a hybrid between Apanasana and Happy Baby Pose, Anandavalasana. So that's just simply, instead of having your shins vertical, just have your knees separated, hands to the inside of the knees, and just rock a little right and left. This is so soothing to the nervous system, as opposed to like strong pulls can feel aggravating to the nervous system, especially where neural tension is present. If you'd like to make a final twist to one side, couple breaths in that direction. Take your time and also invite in a few twists to the other side. The closer your knees stay to your chest, the more you're going to get the twist in your upper back, which is where most of our twisting happens in our spine, aside from the neck. And yogis, you're welcome to gather anything that would help you to be more comfortable for Shavasana or for meditation. So I'm going to grab a blanket. And if you're joining me in an upright position, take a couple of final rolls of the shoulders. Up, back and down. Back up and forward and down. And If you're in Savasana, just maybe lift your arm with a fist on the end of it and sink it down. Lift your other arm with a fist on the end of it and sink it down. Wherever you are, feel the support of the ground beneath you. Invite your skeleton to settle in. If you're upright, invite your skeleton to stack. Feel easeful. Scan your muscles and allow more and more of them to turn off. We'll focus on the muscles around the jaw for our last couple of moments of practice. Become aware that there's some space between your top teeth and your bottom teeth. Feel free to take just the tiniest little shift of your mandible, your jawbone, to the right and to the left, forward and back. Your lips together, teeth apart. Allow your tongue to float and rest in the roof of your mouth. Become aware of the muscles around your ears, above the ears, on the right and on the left. Become aware of the muscle in the jaw, front of the ears. Become aware of the muscles across the front of the neck. Imagine all the muscles at the base of the tongue taking a rest, meditating, moving into Savasana. What would that feel like? Gentle elongation of the back of the neck. Gentle elongation of breath. Slowly deepening your breath. Just allow that breath to wiggle your fingers and to wiggle your toes and to roll your shoulders if you're upright. Open your jaw, maybe stick out your tongue. And moving organically in a way that feels good and authentic to you. If you're on your back, slowly roll to your side. Use your arms to press up. When we meet in seated, we press our palms together over the heart. In gratitude for this practice, in gratitude for the health of our bodies, in gratitude for this community that we know is in practice together all around the world.